On the last part, Mercenary Tao and Android 19 face off against Vegeta and Nappa. Tao and 19 were above Nappa and Vegeta in terms of power and easily dominated the fight. In fact, the fight was extremely one-sided in Tao and 19's favor. To shift things into their favor, Nappa throws up a fake moon. However, he dies to Tao before he gets a chance to transform. Though this does give Vegeta enough time to transform into the giant Grade 8, and now the fight shifts towards his favor. Vegeta's rise in strength pushes back both Tao and Android 19. Gero is forced to step in to end Vegeta. The Saiyan's disappearance on planet Earth piques Frieza's curiosity. He decides to investigate the planet they were last located on by sending his elite Ginyu Force. As the Ginyu Force arrives on planet Earth, Tao dispatches 5 fighters there. These 5 fighters being Magenta, Tao, and androids 19, 14, and 15. So, how would things go on from here? Well, these are questions we will answer today on Dragon Ball Z. Nearing the Ginyu Force's destination, Tao and 19 immediately spot the armor the Ginyu Force were donning, one very similar to the ones the Saiyans were wearing. That was already a bad sign. The 5 fighters land on the ground warily in front of the Ginyu Force. Ginyu steps up, asking where the 3 individuals with tails had come over to this planet. 19, the leader of the group, immediately confirms Ginyu's suspicions. Yes, they were here, but they were killed by them. However, instead of immediately assaulting them, to Android 19's confusion, the Ginyu Force instead start laughing among themselves. Lord Frieza will be pleased. Ginyu taps on his scouter, informing Frieza of the Saiyan's demise. Obviously, Frieza was extremely pleased about the development. It was about time. Those pesky Saiyans had survived for far too long. Frieza tells Ginyu that he'll leave the planet to them. If it was a planet worth selling, Ginyu could take it by force. If not, he could just destroy it and leave it be. Ginyu takes a good look around. They had landed near the city and there were signs of life prospering on the planet. In fact, the technology here that these so-called Earthlings employed looked to be pretty revolutionary. Ginyu nods his head as he tells the Ginyu Force to move out. It was time for the Ginyu Force to take over this planet. The Ginyu Force performed their signature pose, however, they were interrupted by Android 19, who sent an eye beam straight towards Gaudo. Gaudo barely avoids it in time as he uses his signature technique. Ginyu meanwhile scowls at them. What the hell were they trying to do? How dare they interrupt them? However, the Red Ribbon Army Elite Force didn't let up. Magenta approaches Gaudo, while 14 and 15 separate Jace and Bertha. Meanwhile, Tao fights Rikum, and 19 fights Ginyu himself. This method of divide and conquer allows Magenta to quickly dispose of Gaudo, the weakest of the group, such that he could assist androids 14 and 15 with Jace and Bertha. With Magenta's help, Jace and Bertha also kept losing more and more ground, until they eventually succumbed to them as well, leaving only Rikum and Ginyu left. Ginyu grimaces, seeing his subordinates losing their respective fights and losing their lives. He himself was also under the pressure of Android 19, and he couldn't even break through. It has been a while, a very long time indeed, since Ginyu had met someone stronger than him. Ginyu smiles. Guess it was time to switch bodies. He had a heck of a time with this one, but it was time. Ginyu suddenly plunges his hand through his own chest, causing Android 19 to stop with an expression of confusion. Ginyu yells, "Change!" A huge beam comes out from Ginyu's mouth and flies towards Android 19, but it somehow reflects off Android 19 instead of entering Android 19. Ginyu looks on in confusion, but Android 19 doesn't wait any longer as he destroys Ginyu. The body change didn't work successfully on Android 19 because Android 19 was a purely artificial being. Riku, the only one of the Ginyu Force left, was also quickly dispatched as well. Just like that, the Ginyu Force succumbed to the superior Red Ribbon Army Elite Force. Frieza tries to contact the Ginyu Force a day later, but fails to make any contact. Frieza ponders. The Ginyu Force had never failed him before. That means, on that planet, there was someone strong enough to easily kill the Ginyu Force. Frieza was actually slightly apprehensive about going towards the planet. After all, the 3 Saiyans and even the Ginyu Force had all perished without any further communication, which means that whatever was on there was able to wipe out all of them almost instantaneously. Frieza still strongly believed that he was the strongest in the universe, well, besides Beerus of course. But this was something he had to be vigilant about. Frieza decides to make his way towards Earth as well, intending to investigate and figure out everything that had occurred on the planet. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Gero continues his upgrading. Seeing the Saiyans and then the Ginyu Force coming successively, Gero knew that couldn't have been the end of it. None of those seemed like the leader, as they all wore similar grunt uniforms. The leader would be distinguishable from the rest, and Gero knew that this leader would definitely come sooner or later. Thus, he had to be as prepared as possible. Gero's prediction will come true as Frieza's ship finally arrives a week later. Frieza's ship hovers over planet Earth. Frieza decides to send Zabon and Dodario as well as Cui and a few Frieza soldiers down as he monitors the situation from above. It wouldn't hurt to play a little safe. As Frieza's army descends downward, Gero is alerted to their presence by his spybot network. This wasn't just a small force sent to scout their planet. This was definitely a full-fledged invasion. Gero presses a red button as alarms start bearing around the base. Many Red Ribbon Army soldiers were deployed as some donned power suits, while some were utilizing big machines. The Red Ribbon Army Elite Force was also deployed as well, but this time with Gero at the helm. How will things develop on from here? Will Gero be able to successfully stop the Frieza invasion? Well, these are questions we will answer in the next part on Dragon Ball Z.